Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Russell Matthews here, and it wouldn't shock anybody to hear that the amount of students who are struggling with student debt is on the rise. But could there be a mass student loan program in Canada's future? In today's video, we're going to talk about how right now, during this whole pandemic situation, could be the best time to do it, and how the constant changes in the United States could make it more likely now than ever before that this would actually happen in Canada. But before we get into why this could be a lot more likely now than it was just a couple of weeks ago, we need to have a better idea of the unique struggles that students have been facing over the past 8 months since all of this started. And I'm not just talking about all the challenges that come with doing school online. No, today we're talking about the struggle that has been put onto these students financially and how it's affected them long term and how it could affect our country long term. After all, that's what this channel is all about, bringing high quality information as quickly as possible to Canadians about their money so that they can set themselves up to live a more financially stable future. And of course, if that sounds good to you, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, all that good stuff. I'm bringing updates like this all the time, so you're bound to learn something that could help you out. Alright, now let's dive into this. Way back on March 18th, when things were first getting serious with this whole situation, the headline came out that Canada suspends federal student loan payments during COVID-19 crisis. And students everywhere let out a sigh of relief, because if you have this looming student debt, and you're also worrying about rent and other payments, and you're not able to go to work because of this whole situation, then that could put you in a pretty rough financial spot. But luckily, they had a 6-month pause on that student loan payment, and that lasted from March 30th all the way to September 30th. And one key thing to note is that they didn't rule out the possibility of extending this repayment break. Now, there are two huge reasons why this pause on these loan payments was absolutely necessary for students. One, even before this whole health crisis happened, it was increasingly hard for students to get a job, let alone a job in their field. And it hasn't gotten any easier, leading all the way up until today. Although our unemployment numbers have lowered substantially in Canada, that age group of recent graduates still has the highest unemployment numbers of all the different categories that these unemployment numbers are measured in. And the second reason this loan pause was so necessary was the fact that so many students weren't included in the federal benefits that came out. That's the CERB and now the CRB. You'll remember that one of the main qualifications to get these benefits was that you earned $5,000 last year. And for a lot of students who were dedicating their lives full-time to studies, they may not have made that money, and they may have been funded through OSAP or some other provincial loan program or Canadian loan program. So they may not have made that $5,000, and that would automatically exclude them from the benefit. Now, they were able to get the CESB, which is the student benefit, but now that the CRB is the only benefit you can apply for in that suite of benefits, students are left out. And just a reminder, it's not all bad. We're going to get to why I think there's some hope in this situation later in the video. And this Stats Canada study shows that the impact of this situation was on a slew of different categories. We saw students who were worried about using up savings, increasing their student debt, were worried about their ability to pay for next term's tuition, ability to pay for current expenses, ability to pay for next term's accommodations, or just for their living situation. Every single category was negatively affected. And now fast forward to today, you'll remember that the end date for that loan pause was September 30th. And now that we're past that, we haven't heard any word of them extending it like they said they might. And well, are we really surprised? Former students reporting plenty of problems since Ottawa ended the freeze on loan payments on September 30th. And this is just from a few days ago. And it says that jammed phone lines, missed and unauthorized payments, and grads are frustrated with the Student Loan Center. And because of the end of this freeze on loan payments, of course, the NSLSC, which is the National Student Loan Service Center, is experiencing a huge amount of calls from students who are looking for financial aid to help out with these payments. Just like you'll remember if you applied to the CRB on that high traffic day, there are a lot of problems when people all flood the same system. And they're saying the NSLSC is the same, that there's long wait times on the phone, and oftentimes they'll just ghost you and they won't even pick up. And students have even started to take things into their own hands, and they've made a petition to extend the loan repayment freeze. It looks like a grad from U of T is looking to extend that freeze by another 6 months. So it's clear that students are still hurting, and even more so because there aren't any benefits directed to them to help them out financially. But there is a solution that's gaining more and more traction that could put a huge dent into this struggle that students are currently facing. And this idea is gaining more and more support from traditional news and media outlets. Just a few days ago, the Globe and Mail ran a piece that supported this idea entirely and talked about all the benefits that come along with it while helping students and helping the Canadian economy. We all know that this global health crisis has had a significant impact on economies all over the world, Canada included. You'll constantly hear people saying, we need to keep the economy strong and that's the only way out of this crisis. What keeps the economy strong? Well, a whole bunch of things, but to keep it simple, the creation of new businesses and as a result, new jobs for Canadians. And traditionally, it's been up to younger people to create these new businesses, create these new jobs, and to drive the economy forward. But creating a business and starting up a new venture for yourself is a very risky thing to do. There's a lot on the line. And it becomes way more risky when you're already in debt and you're struggling and trying to find a job just to pay off this debt. Are you really going to take this chance and start a business? Chances are you won't, which is where this idea starts to get its legs. If we're able to eliminate student debt or at least dramatically reduce it, then we should be able to see more economic growth from the creation of new businesses and the creation of new jobs. And what's even better is if young people start to create businesses, this will be in sectors that are poised for growth, as most young people would start businesses in areas that are more in tune with this new world and the constantly changing technological pace. But if you're a student watching this, you're probably thinking, Russell, that's too good to be true. Why are you getting our hopes up like this? That only happens in really liberal countries like the Netherlands or Sweden, right? Well, that's where we can finally make the connection to what's happening with our neighbors down in the South, the United States. As of the time I'm filming this video, it's mid-November, and it's really looking like Joe Biden is going to be the new president of the United States. And he made an interesting campaign promise that relates to everything we've been talking about. Let's go take a look at this CNBC article and get a little bit more information. Here it says that Biden laid out a plan that said that he would forgive $10,000 in student debt for all borrowers. And now this is a little bit less than some of the other people who were running for his position in the Democratic Party. Remember, we heard Elizabeth Warren, who said that she would forgive $50,000, and Bernie Sanders, who said that he would forgive it all. But it ended up being Joe Biden. He leans a little bit less far left than those other candidates. But still, $10,000 in loan forgiveness is a big deal. Now it remains to be seen on if he's going to actually mandate this and how he'll bring it in and what the nitty-gritty of it will be, but at least it was an idea that he talked about and promised to a lot of students who were the ones who voted for him. Now, we all know how closely linked Canada and the States are. They're our closest trading partner, and they're the country that we interface with the most on a day-to-day basis as Canadians. And many Canadians like to think of themselves and their Canadian identity as very progressive and forward-thinking and very liberal, and definitely more liberal than our neighbors to the south. So if we see the states actually implement this very liberal policy, then it's way more likely for it to happen in Canada. The only way political parties stay in power come election time is by securing the votes of their constituents. And if this happens in the States, far more people will be asking the question, why isn't this happening in Canada? So whenever an election happens in Canada, and with the way things are right now, that could happen at any time because we have a minority government, no matter which political party you're affiliated with, you're going to have to come up with a plan and a solution for these ongoing problems with our education system, specifically our post-secondary education system. So these are two of the biggest reasons why more and more people are thinking that it will be very likely for something like this to happen in Canada. One, because of the economic growth that we could see from new businesses being created by young people who are freed of the burden of all of their existing debt, and two, because it's already happening in a relatively more conservative country south of us in the States, and because we're in Canada and we're more left-leaning, we can see that it will be more likely. But if you're a student watching this, I wish I could come and tell you that tomorrow something's going to happen that's going to solve some of your financial problems. The truth is, I don't know. But what I do know is that if something like this is going to happen, we need to have a discussion about it and figure out how it can help our economy and how it can help society at large in order to get some of these problems solved for students. So if you're a student or someone you love or care about is a student and you've made it all the way to the end of this video, it's clear that you care about these issues. If you think this is a good idea, we need to keep the discussion going about it. So make sure to share this and send this to somebody who might find it interesting. Just by simply having this conversation, we're pushing this to be more and more of a likely scenario. And all the same, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think this is a good idea that would actually help Canada? Or are you on the other side of things and you think spending all this money on this loan forgiveness isn't the government's problem and it should be on the students to choose programs that actually have prospects of a job? There are two opposing opinions here, and who knows which one's actually right. But no matter which side you're on, let me know exactly what you think down there in the comments. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I'm coming out with updates like this all the time about Canadians and their money and how they can set themselves and their families up to live a better and more stable financial future. So if that sounds good to you, and let's face it, who doesn't want a little bit more financial stability in their lives, make sure to hit those buttons. And with all of that said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really hope this video has helped you out a little bit, or at least made you think, and I'll see you next time.